Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Power Hour. We're delighted to have you with us this morning, and we have another outstanding lineup today with us with leaders who shape our community, our nation, and also our schools. But before we dive into that, a few quick things to highlight. Tomorrow night is one of the Chamber's most beloved events of the year, and that's our Plaid Party. It's the Chamber and community's really annual tribute to the RBC heritage presented by Boeing. And I think it's probably safe to say at this point in time that Heritage Fever has officially begun. So we hope to see you there tomorrow night wearing your plaid, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Harbortown Yacht Club. And we look forward to getting ready to kick off pre-Heritage Week in style. Also, a warm welcome this morning to Trent Williamson. Trent, who's joined our Chamber team as our new Vice President of Membership and Innovation. He's certainly no stranger to the Low Country, formerly with Hargray, what's now known as Sparklight, and then also served as the CEO of the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton. We're excited to have him on board, and you'll see great things ahead. As always, please drop your questions in the chat box. We're always happy to ask those. We sometimes run out of time and can't get them all answered, but we certainly enjoy having them, and we'll do our best to answer those. Our first guest this morning is Tom Sullivan. Tom is the Vice President of Small Business Policy at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And he's certainly no stranger to the intersection of business and government. He served in the White House Chief Counsel of the President of Small Business under President George W. Bush. And as the Chamber now leads the charge, he's in charge of all things small business, really working daily to ensure that businesses have a strong voice in Washington. I need to let you know that we found out last night that Senator Lindsey Graham, who was scheduled to be with us this morning, had to be called away at a meeting at the White House this morning. And so about 7 p.m., I texted Tom and graciously asked him if he would be willing to step in today. And within 5, maybe 6 minutes, a text was coming back from Tom saying, be delighted to, and I'll put some slides together and look forward to it in the morning. That's Tom Sullivan, a true representative of business, small business, putting his cape on each and every day to fight for all of us. Tom, welcome. Thanks for joining us on short notice. But we're really, really happy to have you with us.
Well, Bill, it's a pleasure, and right back at you. I can't imagine what it would be like without our partners at the Hilton Head Island and Bluffton Chamber, as well as our 1,600 state and local chambers of commerce partners around the country. I'm going to start sharing my screen a little bit, mostly because, as Bill knows, I get pretty passionate about this stuff. And if I don't have some slides to keep me on track, then I'll go down a number of different rabbit holes. So anyway, it's great to be here. Bill, thank you so much for having me on. And the type of quick response that you mentioned is how we do business, and really grateful for our partnership. So I'm going to just give a quick summary of what we're seeing with small businesses around the country. This is real recent data. We just released our latest MetLife and U.S. Chamber of Commerce Small Business Index last week. The thing that makes this, I think, better than some surveys and data is that this is post-election, post-January 1st data. I think things have been happening at such a rapid pace. A lot of data that happened before the election or before the new year is already out of date. So let's just start. It's kind of bad news, good news. The bad news is that our index is trending down. Probably doesn't come as a surprise to many of you who are business leaders in the Low Country. The confidence in the national economy is dropping. That's the bad news. The good news is that confidence in the local community is holding steady. It's down 1 point quarter to quarter and year over year, but still holding pretty pretty steady. And that is not unusual. What we saw really after the pandemic was a decreasing confidence in the national economy, but a steady to rising confidence in small business owners' perception of their local economy. A lot of that has to do with small businesses feeling more comfortable with what they can control themselves. So the closer in you get at business operations, revenue, local economy, the more positive small business owners get. Again, this will not surprise many of you, but the top challenge for small businesses continues to be inflation. We're now at the 13th consecutive quarter where inflation is way, way above other concerns. Um, and if you wonder about the trends going down a little bit after a pretty amazing post-election bump up, one of the reasons is that small business owners really wanted costs to go down. And they're thinking that that's not going to happen anytime soon. And so um, that's reflected in the inflation continuing to be the top challenge. So today is a day that President Trump is going to announce a strategy having to do with tariffs. Um, and at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we believe tariffs can be a useful tool when applied surgically to level out trade imbalances between the United States and other countries. But across the board tariffs, in a way that at least the president is rumored to be proceeding, can be pretty devastating, primarily because of what we just talked about, and that is the realization that costs will go up. Um, this slide was just taken a couple weeks ago. One of our small business leaders, Tracy Tapney, who runs a sheet metal fabrication plant just north of Minneapolis. She's the vice chair of our Small Business Council that I run. And she actually puts it very well when CNN, when the host asked her about tariffs and what she thinks, her response actually helped guide me and my colleagues and others in a way that you don't really hear that much about. And Tracy's advice is that the United States really does have to look at opening up additional markets around the world where the best products and best products and services, American made, can be sold to more people around the world. And when you really dig into that possibility, it just makes sense. There has not been an additional country added to the 20 countries that the United States has a free trade agreement with in over 10 years. And folks like Tracy, a lot of manufacturers, even service providers that want more people to buy their goods and services need more countries to be open to their products and services. Just one last kind of nerdy factoid when it has to do with this opportunity to build free trade agreements. Of the 20 countries that the United States has a free trade agreement with, it makes up about 6% of the consumer population in the world. But even just that 6% purchases 14 times the amount of American goods and services than countries that are not parts of free trade agreements. So it only makes common sense that we put our efforts into opening other markets. And really, the concern about blanket tariffs is the likely reciprocal tariff response that Europe has already responded to, certainly with the wine industry. But that reciprocal tariff response, the backlash of other countries putting tariffs on our products, actually, we believe is a step in the wrong direction. And so we are trying to work with the administration to open up more markets. When we talk about the downward trend of small business confidence, the word that continues to pop up is uncertainty. Now, there's a lot to that word, but what we look at is what can Washington, D.C. do to provide some certainty, provide small businesses with the ability to plan beyond this year, beyond next year, which we believe will result in growth. And we think that the antidote to uncertainty is making several provisions in the tax law permanent. At the end of this year, there are a series of provisions in the 2017 tax law that expire. And if Congress does not take action, there's going to be a massive tax hike on small business. So, what we are doing, and we actually have allies in the House and the Senate and the White House who are all pushing in the same direction to take a number of those provisions and make them permanent. We think that that's the antidote to uncertainty. There is progress being made. In fact, this week, Senate should take the next step towards making that a possibility. And we're really looking forward with Bill Miles and hundreds of other chambers around the country to both thank their lawmakers for making these pro-growth tax provisions permanent, and also convincing some lawmakers who may be on the fence, this is what is needed to bring confidence and certainty back into the Main Street employer community to help our economy grow. One last slide. I want to make sure that you know that not only are we thrilled to be part of the Power Hour, but we want to be a resource for small businesses all the time, 24/7. We have a digital platform called CO, that's CO. It is available on the website that is listed here. And we use this platform to try to get information into the hands of small businesses, small business community, so that they can be even better informed about ways that they can do better, grow revenues, grow profit, sink that profit back into their business, and perhaps sprinkle in a little bit of policy within those narratives to be helpful. So with that, I'll stop sharing screen. Happy to take any questions from you, Bill, or any of your great membership.
Tom, thank you. And we do have some questions for you this morning. The first one's coming from James, and James is asking what changes in consumer spending are most impacting small businesses?
To James, thank you for the question. So first of all, consumer spending is down a little bit, and small businesses are a little bit scared. For those folks who like to try to pretend to be economists, like I do sometimes, you'll know that consumer spending has basically been the lifeline for business, especially small business, over the last 3.5 years. If consumer spending goes down, bad things will happen. And so, as you lead up to the RBC Heritage, spend money, encourage all those wonderful guests who are going to come down to Low Country to spend money, because that is what keeping the economy chugging along. And keep an eye out on those indicators that show where consumer spending is. There's two indicators that small business owners look at most intensely, and that us in the small business policy world look at most closely. One is consumer spending, and that's a fairly recent phenomenon because of its importance with keeping the economy afloat. The other is capital purchases. When you see capital purchases and anticipated capital purchases trending upward, that is one of the most positive signs for small business, because it means that they're inking a profit at the end of the day, pouring those profits into plans to grow their business. Now, we've seen likely capital purchases steady or declining a little bit, and those are the types of things that keep people like me up at night.
All right, thank you. Olivia is asking the next question, and she's saying that college grads are bemoaning the current job market, and small businesses are a big part of that. Is it a matter of business confidence?
So the simple answer is yes. Confidence is huge, and not only American confidence, but international confidence. Just yesterday, I was on the phone with one of your competitors in the tourism business, although for different reasons. My friends at Park City Lodging in Park City, Utah, were really scared that wealthy Europeans and wealthy Mexicans are canceling plans to go out to Park City. Um, and that has to do with a global lack of confidence in the United States. So that's a little bit scary. Um, as far as the job market goes, it's fascinating because it's a little bit like squeezing a balloon, where one part of the balloon loses air, the other part of the balloon gains air. So small businesses, and that is the one bright spot in all of these economic indicators from small businesses, is the fact that small businesses, despite declining confidence, still want to hire up. Now, the reason that's important is because for the past 3.5 years, with consumer spending being at record highs, small businesses haven't been able to find good workers. And so now, when the job market is a little bit tougher, it's actually kind of good news for a lot of small businesses, especially in construction. They're seeing more folks show up on that critical second work week on the job and staying longer in their jobs because they're facing a tough job market. So while some folks say that, and I'm certainly in that camp with two teenage boys who are getting ready to graduate college, I'm a little bit worried. But some small business owners tell me this is actually good news because they're getting more qualified applicants in the door to fill positions that have remained open for 2 or 3 years.
All right, thank you, Tom. Our next question is coming from Leo, and Leo is asking, are there any new regulatory challenges on the horizon that could affect small business cost structures?
So thank you for the question. So good news is there was a law called the Corporate Transparency Act that would require small businesses to report every time there's an ownership change. And we worked with the Trump administration to remove that red tape from small businesses. And 2 weeks ago on a weekend, the Secretary of the Treasury penned a memo relieving small businesses of that burden. So that is great. Now, what we're doing now is a little bit of a spring cleaning, and we are looking for out-of-date rules, duplicative rules, red tape that doesn't make sense, and we're trying to convince the Trump administration to do a spring cleaning. Bill, I'm going to share with you after this webinar a website that our friend Kelly Loeffler, who is a former senator from the state of Georgia and now runs the U.S. Small Business Administration. She owns a website that is asking small businesses to tell her what red tape needs to be removed at a federal level. And we're pretty confident that she's going to take all these suggestions and actually push forward with them. So I'll get you that website right afterwards. And I think my answer is just kind of pushing back to you. We need your examples from Low Country and other places around the United States in order to do a good spring cleaning of red tape so that small business owners can focus on what matters, and that is revenue growth and taking care of their employees and their community.
Tom, we have two more questions for you today. The next one is coming from Evelyn, and Evelyn is asking about the 2017 tax law and how she can help you and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce with that.
Well, Evelyn, thank you so much. There are a number of provisions in the 2017 tax law that are set to expire. One that is really front and center on my radar is a 20% deduction that most small business owners are able to take advantage of. And if that isn't made permanent, tons of small businesses will face an enormous tax hike. And so, Evelyn, if you, your family, your neighbors, and your friends have examples of how you reinvest that 20% deduction into growing your business, we at the Chamber, along with Bill Miles, want to tell your story. And so if you could jot down just a couple sentences about your business or your friend's business or your neighbor's business on how they pour those savings back into their business, we would like to use those stories to convince Congress to make that 20% deduction permanent.
All right, Tom, thank you for that. And the last question we have time for is coming from Charlotte. And Charlotte is asking, what's the top red tape challenge you're hearing from businesses around the country?
So the top red tape challenge is tax. It's too complicated, too high, and too uncertain. Not sure if we can make a dent in it being too complicated, but we're putting a lot of effort into making sure that some of these provisions stay permanent, however complex they may be. We think that even though it's difficult to calculate your taxes now, it's a heck of a lot better if that same system was guaranteed to be in place next year, 5 years, 10 years, so that you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel and adding to complexity. So I apologize, I don't have a specific part of the tax code that has to be fixed, but we think that making many of these provisions in the 2017 law permanent will actually go a long way to reducing red tape, reducing compliance burden, and the headaches that many of us have around this time of every year.
Tom, it's always informational and helpful to have you with us. Thank you for being on today, and also thank you for coming on in very short notice.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for what you do, and thanks to all the folks who are participating in this Power Hour.
Hope to see you soon. All right. Tom Sullivan. Our next guest this morning is Dr. Frank Rodriguez, the superintendent for the Beaufort County School District. And if you've been following the headlines lately, you probably saw that Dr. Rodriguez was recently named the South Carolina Superintendent of the Year. Dr. Rodriguez, that's an incredible honor and a reflection of you and your leadership and your vision for education in our region. Congratulations and thank you for all that you continue to do. And
Well,
also,
I appreciate it.
also under Dr. Rodriguez's guidance, the Beaufort County School District recently in 2023 passed the largest bond referendum in history. Also raised teacher salaries to be among the highest in the state, keeping us competitive and helping us to attract and retain that top talent. And then most recently, Beaufort County students outperformed even pre-pandemic levels in English language and language art test scores. So Dr. Rodriguez, we're delighted to have you with us today and know that you're a busy man. Looking forward to the update on the Beaufort County School District.
Bill, I appreciate it, and thank you for having me here today with you all. I've got a few slides that I'd like to share with you today, and kind of get us going in the conversation. Can you see those? So here in the Beaufort County School District, I think it's important for everybody to know we serve over 21,000 students in our Beaufort County School District. And, oops, apologies. Okay, I think I'm back. We serve over 21,000 in the Beaufort County School District, pre-K through 12th grade. And one of the most important things we do, obviously, in our work is focusing on student achievement and making sure that our students are college or career readiness. A couple of the accolades that I think our district shares publicly on a regular basis is that not only did we hit the highest scores in literacy that the school district has received on the current assessment, but we also have the highest college or career readiness score, which I know is an important part in terms of our career readiness for students when they graduate our school system. And so we're aware that as we talk about our facilities, you mentioned the bond referendum, community engagement around our educational design, not only in our programming, but also in our facilities is incredibly important to us. And to that end, we have what we call a facilities master plan, which is essentially a rolling 5-year plan, so that the decisions we're making around our facilities are not just spur of the moment decisions, but are planned and projected decisions that we make based on projections of enrollment, based on facility condition assessments and needs that we have. And as you mentioned, back in 2019, we passed the first bond referendum in over 11 years. But in 2023, the community supported with a 72% approval, which I have to thank all of you and our community for, the next bond referendum, which is doing some really great work in upgrading our facilities for our students and our teachers to teach and learn in. And one of those particular places that is highlighted in that 23 bond referendum is really on the Hilton Head property, on Hilton Head campus, as well as over in Bluffton as well. We've got a few projects in Bluffton. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. One of the things that we knew we were coming back for after the first referendum that we needed to get accomplished was a new high school at Hilton Head High School. And if you have been around there recently, you have seen some transformation in that building as it's gone up. We just recently had a topping off ceremony, which I'll talk about in a minute. But in order to make sure that we instill that community trust in what we're doing, I established a citizen-led oversight committee in order to make sure that they review exactly how we spend the dollars of the bond referendum and that how we're executing on those projects. And this committee is made up of superb individuals with tremendous expertise right here in our own backyard. And some members might even be on the call today. But they look very closely at how the school district spends the dollars of the referendum. They ask very tough questions, and it makes us better as an organization, and it helps us execute. We have executed extremely well in the 2019 bond referendum, and we're off to a great start on the 23 referendum. And in large part, it's what this independent citizen-led oversight committee helps us accomplish. So our teams collaborate and work together, and it's an important piece. But before we go out there and we look at what's on a bond referendum or what we need to put on there, we look at those facility master plans. We look closely at the work of community-based project review committees who make recommendations, and then I take those recommendations and we bring that forward to the Board of Education. They determine to move forward with a referendum, and then obviously it's put to a public vote, which the community supported, and then the citizen-led oversight committee kicks in and begins to review how those projects are executed on and how the dollars are spent. That instills trust, and that's an important component. As we plan for the future, the rebuild at Hilton Head High School, May River Elementary is going to be a new school that's going to be on the May River campus. We also have a replacement of Ladies Island Middle School in Northern Beaufort County, but there is also a Bluffton Early Childhood Support Center in order to focus in on early childhood education. On this 23 bond referendum, you can see some of the items that are on there that are a part of this 23 bond referendum, from safety and security enhancements. I mentioned some of the other projects, the new pre-K building, pre-K to 5 building, and then a new early childhood center. There's career and technical education programming and renovations that are a part of this work. And of course, Hilton Head High School is getting that through its rebuild. And then, of course, other needs such as HVAC replacements that were needed in the school district. What you see here in front of you is a rendering of the new Hilton Head Island High School on the top left, and a rendering on the bottom left of some of the internal spaces. And if you look over to the right-hand side, well, this is its current condition as it's being built. But you can see the topping off ceremony that we had with that top right-hand corner picture, where we We celebrated the work that has been accomplished thus far, putting in the final beam of that building. And then, of course, below you can see the internal space that the rendering is of on the left-hand side. So we look forward to a completion of a space where our students can have a state-of-the-art learning environment, teachers have a state-of-the-art teaching environment, and our community has a beautiful facility in place that they can take advantage of for any host of things. That is incredibly important to us as we move through the completion of these projects. On the academic front, you should know that your Hilton Head Island High School ranks among the highest performing IB diploma programs in the state of South Carolina. And at the end of the 23-24 school year, they had the highest percentage of IB diplomas awarded in the region. In addition, some of the new initiatives and programs, academic programs we started, one is called BCSD Tides. That is a program in which we partner and collaborate with TCL, and our students come from, they're members of their own particular high schools, but they take their courses at TCL, and in doing so, we created an opportunity for students to graduate not only with a high school diploma, but in addition with a 2-year degree, and possibly in some cases, 2-year degrees, thereby saving students and families dollars as they enhance their educational experience. Career and technical education is the other piece I wanted to share with you and talk about with you today. And why is it so important? Because it is different than when you and I went to school. We had, shop or Voltech courses. Today's career and technical ed courses are much more enhanced and much more robust, and they're focused on high quality training programs for students that address labor shortages or skilled jobs and future sustainability for emerging fields. This is one of the things before we put in a career and technical ed program, we look at the workforce needs in the regional area and we see what we need, and then we target that to make sure that our graduates are prepared to take on some of those jobs. And then what's important around that collaboration and that work is that our students graduate with 21st century skills, focusing on academic and technical skills training that they might need. So if you want to go to college, the route is there. We have students that are graduating our schools, attending Ivy League schools, some of the highest performing or recognized colleges and universities across the country, as well as within our very own state. Right? We have college and career readiness opportunities among graduation for students, and making sure that we tap into those workforce needs on a local level to make sure that our local talent and our local pipeline can either stay here or return here and enjoy the beautiful community in which we live. This is something we are really excited about. This Jobs Now partnership with the Chamber. If you look at the picture on the left-hand side, it says high school internships. One of the greatest needs is to provide those high school internship opportunities for students. And this is a place where people can come and say, I have specific internship opportunities, and we can match students with those internship opportunities. We are incredibly excited about this and the potential of this for our students and our local businesses. Career and technical education does other things. It provides our students with industry certifications so that when they graduate our schools, they have some of those all ready to go if they choose to go to the workforce. And you can see in here anywhere from OSHA training, and you've got ServSafe, and you've got a variety of other EMS training, EMT training that we have, where students can get those industry certifications right here with us in their Beaufort County School District. And then some of you are familiar with the Beaufort Jasper Academy for Career Excellence. This is a school that we share with Jasper County. Beaufort County gets about 2/3 of the students, and Jasper gets about 1/3 of the students. And our students have a tremendous experience. We try not to duplicate career and technical education programming at ACE and the ones that we have at our local high schools in order to provide more choices and options, obviously, for students within Beaufort County. This is again a rendering of the Hilton Head Island High School, the elementary school that's going to be on the May River campus in Bluffton. Just important to note, that was a desperately needed building because Pritchardville, as an example, is at 130% capacity with the growth in Bluffton. And so what that allows us to do is to alleviate some of that overcrowding in schools and bring them to a percentage where we like to have as a sweet spot around 85 to 88% capacity. And so I'll pause for a little bit. I wanted to share with you today things about our building program, since our community was so supportive on the bond referendum, and then a couple of highlights around the academic programming on the Hilton Head and other campuses. And I'll take any questions you have.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for that comprehensive update. And we do have some questions for you. I'd like to also thank you for the discussing internships. And right now we have an intern with us who graduated from May River High School and is a senior majoring in communications at USCB and just doing an outstanding job. And we have all grown and have benefited learning from him. So thanks for your shout out, your participation on our Business Education Partnership Committee and that piece of it. Our first question is coming from Rick, and Rick is asking if you have seen a difference in the number of students going the tech route versus the traditional 4-year.
There's a lot more conversation about that as an option and as a viable option for students today. You heard some of the earlier questions about students graduating colleges and then sort of determining what to do next sometimes. And so that is a growing conversation that exists among students. We're well positioned, I think, to support that need with industry certifications that we have and additional partnerships with other technical training opportunities, whether it's TCL or other areas. As an example, we have a tremendous cybersecurity program locally here, and Beaufort County School District has 30% of the state of South Carolina's cyber patriot teams that compete in a cyber world and a cyber environment against one another. Because we know South Carolina seems to be wanting to plant its flag as a cybersecurity hub on the East Coast of the United States, so there's an articulation agreement and partnership with technical training as well with TCL around that arena. But we do that with other places. Students are weighing their options. We are seeing that. Colleges and universities are an option still, but there's a greater interest coming in the area of the technical trades.
All right, thank you. Janie is asking for you to talk a little bit about how safety is prioritized for the new high school campus.
Yes, thank you for that question. Safety is a top priority, absolutely, in what we do. We have, through our bond referendums, there is a significant safety and security measures that are built in from a technological perspective as well. Those safety and security measures are set up and designed without going too deep into everything around our safety and security measures. I can tell you that we have direct contact with law enforcement, immediate contact with law enforcement through our technology programming in schools. The moment, for example, lockdowns occur in schools, that is instant. Somebody doesn't necessarily have to make a call anymore because it's automated, but we do it. But we have that automated feature as well. Any particular part of the campus can set the campus on a lockdown immediately if needed. We have extensive video security that has been built in place, as well as additional ones on the exterior and perimeters of the campus that are going in as a result of the recent bond referendum as well. So there are a lot of intricate safety and security measures that are in place. In addition, with your just excellent, good practice of training and regular training of our personnel and students in facilities, because you have to respond and you have to react. And as a system, we have taken great care to make sure that we do go above and beyond required or necessary trainings that the state has. We go above and beyond those, but then we supplement that with the safety and security enhancements from the bond referendums that are in place.
Dr. Rodriguez, we have time for two more questions. And Kristen is asking, how will the zoning work with the May River Elementary School? Will current Pritchardville students be rezoned?
That is a great question, and the zoning conversation, in some ways, I'm going to tell you the truth, in some ways I'm looking forward to it, but in some ways I am not looking forward to it, because that is always a contentious conversation. But the reality is that it is something that needs to be done, because over the years, without the expansion of new facilities, what we had to do is sometimes some people have to bypass certain schools in order to get to the school they're attending. And that was due to overcrowding situations. And rather than continuously over and over again rezone, the decision at some point was made to, when the new facility came on board, to then deal with it all at one time. And that's something we're gonna have to deal with. So there'll be community forums that will provide community members opportunity to provide input as part of that conversation and discussion, and ultimately end with a board decision on the rezoning. So that hasn't started yet, but that it's going to start pretty soon. So please be on the lookout. We will advertise it, because we do want your feedback. We do want your input, and want to make sure we land in the best possible space as a system to make sure that the needs of the community and the students are met.
All right, and our last question is coming from Mary, and she is asking if Beaufort County offers an adult retraining program for adults who may be looking to change occupations.
Wow, what a fantastic question. So we do have adult and community education that we offer, and there are some industry certification related programmings that can happen through that. But that is on the horizon for me I have a vision of a model change around that I think would be wonderful for our community, because we could probably reach more people and provide additional opportunities, whether it's language enhancements, whether it's certifications or training in QuickBooks, whether it's welding courses that people might want to take and have a total shift in trade. So we are actually in the process of looking at our adult and community education program to sort out how we can expand that model to make it a more robust model to meet more needs for the community, to do exactly what that question is asking about.
Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate your leadership and all that you continue to do for the Beaufort County School District.
Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for your time today.
All right, moving on. Our next guest is certainly another familiar face. That's Steve Wilmot, the longtime tournament director for the RBC Heritage, presented by Boeing, I should say, and also serves as the president of the Heritage Classic Foundation. And Steve, we're, as I see right here, we're 13 days, 1 hour, and 54 minutes and 48 seconds until the opening ceremony.
It's actually 3 seconds, 42 seconds, 40 seconds. You're spot on.
We're all excited and watching that countdown. You too can watch the countdown at rbcheritage.com. So, Steve, before we start, just a couple of things I'd like to say. One is reminding our listeners that the tournament, the impact it has, what it generates for not only local businesses, but the region and the state, is over $135 million, which is significant. And then also looking at what a charitable powerhouse this foundation is, giving back to charity almost $57 million. I think it's 56.9 was the last number that I had seen. And so, as we're getting close to it, we're looking forward to hearing an update from you today, and thank you for being with us when your busiest time.
Well, Bill, thank you again, and I appreciate you thinking of us throughout the course of the year. And your comments with regards to the economic impact is, as with Tom Sullivan, I wish I could put my plaid cape on and adapt and as he did and have a big PowerPoint for you. As you know, I was going to do this down on site, but between blowers and mowers and construction, I didn't want to take a chance of messing up this morning. But truly, what we do and why we do things is for the charity and giving back. And yes, it's been in excess of almost, as you mentioned, $57 million. But then also the economic impact is as we do a study each year, 62% of these people of the $135 million are outside of Beaufort County and do come in. So this is why we're in this together. But today is really, I think this talk today, I could sit there and talk about golfers. Yes, I could. But it's really about this community, and what we have is so special. I was going to start off and thank Senator Graham for his support over the years as well. And he helped us and assisted us with the long-term extension with Boeing that we just recently signed. So I thank him. I thank Dr. Rodriguez as well, too, and the support we get from the Beaufort County schools, from Bluffton, Handle, and our ecology, but also Hilton Head High School, helping assisting us with parking, but also assisting us in parking of cars too. And Joe Mamamir is one of the athletic director out there, is one of our leads on our risk management team, with Frank Soul from the Island Rec Center. So it's really, we're very fortunate to be in such a wonderful community that we do live. And this morning was our last big meeting together. We every Wednesday with the Sea Pines Resort, we get together through teams, but today we met about almost 60 of us today down on site, and just kind of final going through some of the final touches. And you think about working as closely as we do at the resort, it's certainly from food and beverage to the site, parking, accommodations, and golf and so forth. So, but that leads into the fact that CSA, working with this Sea Pines, it's working with the town of Hilton Head, Mark Orlando and the town. It's they're here and huge partners as well of whatever we can to assist, which leads into Bluffton. Bluffton is partners. We look at Bluffton as being a part of the driveway to get down to the tournament. Beaufort County as well, and then all the way up to Columbia. The support that we have working with Department of Transportation to assist us with 95 and the roads through Beaufort County 278 to get to us. There's so many things that need to happen as we talk about the driveway coming to Sea Pines being the somewhat of the front door. Then you get down on site and that's the house. But there's so many things on the outside that needs to happen as well. We're very fortunate too, we have 14 federal agencies that we just met with recently to have the support and assistance in things too, but safety and security is certainly of utmost importance to us as well. So we work extremely close with Columbia in many different aspects as well. But this community, we're blessed, and I think so many of you know that. I had the pleasure recently of joining the fire department's award ceremony, and it was about community and the efforts they put forth 24/7, 13 months out of the year. I went to the chamber ball. What a wonderful evening that was, and that was about community. We're in this together, and then I look at our partners, our vendors. So many of the hoteliers here, from working with Surge Group, handling our concessions. There's so many partners and so many moving parts to assist us in being able to do what we do for giving back to charity, but also in return to the economic impact as well. And when I talk economic impact, we look at the fact that we'll have 57 hours of between the Golf Channel, CBS, and then live streaming on ESPN, 57 hours the week of the tournament to 200 countries and territories in 28 different languages. That's important to this community and to Beaufort County and South Carolina. I mean, we are We are one of the biggest show. We are the biggest sporting event in South Carolina, and we're not competing with the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NFL and things. We do. There are a couple other PGA Tour events, but the importance and the relationships that we have are truly an envy of the PGA Tour. They know that we're able to, and I feel very fortunate to be able to be a part of something as special as this. But the PGA Tour realizes, as well as RBC, our title sponsor, that when they come, what's happening now around this community with from landscaping to painting of homes to signage, other things, it's it's pretty special, and you all to be thanked. You're all a part of the success of this tournament. We need to do everything in our power to keep this thing going, which we as a team together will certainly do our best.
Steve, thank you. And before we have questions, I'd like to let our listeners know that since last time they've seen you on Power Hour, you became a grandfather, and with little Stella May, and congratulate you on the birth of her.
Well, thank you. And my daughter-in-law was a former employee, Lily Strickland of the chamber, and we're blessed in many ways. It puts things in perspective for sure. But for some reason, I still worry about that extra porta john out on 15. So, but again, Bill, I apologize to the fact Angela on our team here, our communications marketing director, put together a great PowerPoint that we kind of spun it thinking we were down on site, that we do something out on the golf course as a little change of pace. So like I said, I wasn't able to put my plaid cape on and adapt as Tom Sullivan did, but more than happy to discuss other things as well. The field is coming together. We have actually 48 of the top 50 players that were eligible or have committed. We have 44 of the top 50 players in official world golf rankings coming. So yes, it's about the competition. Yes, it's about the field, but there's so much more, as I just talked about, with regards to giving back, with regards to doing good in this community. And the team that I have here, which I'm blessed, they're the best of the best, and best in class on the PGA Tour. The efforts that they put forth to be able to continue to do better, to be better, so we can get better. And you're all a big part of the success, and we appreciate all of you in so many different ways.
If you have time for a few questions, we have several that have come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the first one's from Ethan, and he's asking what will be different for this year's event for spectators.
Actually, thank you for asking that. One thing is too is um, we pride ourselves in the fact too and I've shared this with a lot of you before too, is we had an experience the Saturday of 2019. We couldn't have gotten another person out on the golf course, and that wasn't a good thing, and we didn't like that. But then, unfortunately, 20 and 21 with COVID and then limited capacity wasn't a financial model that we could work with. So the team did an incredible job of looking at 2019 and the limited capacity in 21 to find that happy medium of the fact that it's an incredible venue with the Heritage Lawn Club, which is a new hospitality area right there where some of the tents were by the Heritage Lawn. But again, we're sensitive with our ticket numbers. Yes, there's tickets. We still have tickets to sell, and yes, we're sold out. There are tickets on Saturday on the secondary market, but we have tickets available the rest of the week. But one thing I should really share is unfortunately the safety and security is always our number one concern. And working with the tour on some things, you will see some on the exterior of the golf course. You'll see some what's called up north, and not necessarily called here, but a little snow fencing, about a 4-foot fence in some areas, and it serves a couple different purposes. One is certainly there's safety, and then there is security, but it's also assisting us with people coming on the golf course that might not have tickets, but then also those leaving, cutting through homes and all. But you'll see an effort in working with the tour, working with this community, CSA, as well as the resort. You'll see some 4-foot, snow fencing on the exterior of the golf course, which, is something new, but it's something that is necessary that we've needed to address.
Steve, Alex is asking if you have to have a ticket to attend the opening ceremonies.
Yes, you still do on Tuesday. That's correct.
And then Grace is asking, what does it mean to be a signature event?
Well, thank you. The signature event is an elevated event in a limited field. Prior to becoming a designated event, which became a signature event, we were an invitational, which was a limited event of 132 players. So it's a guarantee of the best players in the world being here. It is a limited field. We will have a minimum of 72 players, and that's where the field currently stands right now. It might change depending on somebody that wins this week or next week, and it could increase a little bit. We're at 72 players, but it's a $20 million purse. Which is one of the highest on the PGA Tour, and there's only 8 signature events on the PGA Tour. So I think of the hard work that this community has put in to think where we were in 10 and 11 to be here as a signature event, knowing that the CBS, knowing the PGA Tour, knowing the players want to be here, and it's because of this community, and we're very fortunate in that respect.
Thank you. Max is asking if there will be snow fencing on every hole.
No, but we've worked with, the Property Owners Association here. They're aware. We've worked with CSA to notify rental companies and some other things, but not every, and we'll work with some of those. There are some hospitality houses, but there are, in working with our operations team, there is some options that we'll be able to, but it works both ways. It's not just keeping people from, there is a huge safety security side. There's no doubt about it. But there is also a sensitivity of people just walking out on the golf course or off the golf course through people's yards as well.
All right. The last question we have time for today is coming from Helen, and Helen is asking if there are any change in ticket policies this year.
No. Depending on what ticket you might purchase, there are some some of the private hospitality or the inclusive tickets. There are some age restrictions, but we're still 15 and under, 16 and under. With a ticketed accompanied with a ticketed person can get in free, but to know the policies are the same. But it is also, they're virtual, and there will be scanning, and we have additional locations and better identification with that too. But Tyler Schutz, our ticket director, working closely with the Rotary here on the island too, in support of our ticket locations, has done a great job identifying, and it's been a little bit of a transition, but it's been great. It's one that we went virtual three years ago, and it's been a great exercise. We continue to learn. There's no doubt, just like myself and my role too is, the day you stop learning is the day you get out of the business, and we continue to want to figure out ways to do things better, more efficiently, and ultimately to be able to do what we do and give back.
Steve, the countdown clock says 13 hours, 13 days, 1 hour and 40 minutes. We better let you get on and get ready to put your plaid cape on during tournament week.
Bill, thank you, and thank you for your support, but certainly the chamber's support and the community support, and anytime. And like I said too, I feel somewhat. It seems like I'm unprepared, but I'm excited, and we have a great PowerPoint that we can certainly go through at another time. And but it's looking forward to seeing everybody. It's going to be an exciting time, and in a couple of weeks, and here we go.
Steve, I've known you for a long time, and you're always prepared. So you have a great afternoon. I know things are busy. Thanks to you and the entire team for what we know will be another terrific RBC Heritage.
No, Bill, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you tomorrow evening at Plaid Party, again at the Harbortown Yacht Club, 5:30, and you can go to our website to register for that if you haven't done so already. Thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you soon.